Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be another typical style podcast video. If you don't know me, my name is Beth and I'm a seamstress, but I make knit and crochet content here and on Instagram. So this month has been truthfully a little bit all over the place. I am normally a very monotonous knitter. I tend to start one project, finish it, start the next one. I don't know what's gone on with me this month, but there has been so many things casted on. I've bought a load of yarn, although I will say some of it is not here yet, or actually most of it is not here yet. And I've also been doing some alterations to some knits. I have a little mini series on this channel which is Finish, Fix or Frog, and the vlog for that isn't actually out yet. That'll be coming in a couple of weeks, but I have some of them to hand, so I will show you those. I've also been working on some accessories, which I don't normally do. I normally only really make garments, so it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Today is super gloomy, rainy, not very nice. It's kind of like the beginnings of autumn are creeping in. We've started to notice that the days are starting to get a bit shorter here. It's colder in the mornings, and pretty much all of my projects are pretty autumn leaning, I would say. Before we get started, I will quickly chat about what I am wearing because I have a horrible habit of forgetting to say. This is my capsule compound cardigan. It's a raglan cardigan with I can't even really see it in this grey. It's got like a thick raglan, it's got like a 4-stitch raglan, has options for a double knit or a ribbed button band. It's got this really nice high crew neck collar, and it's graded in a way that it's like a compound raglan, or like my take on a compound raglan, hence the title. And basically there are different increase rates for different groups of sizes. So when you get into the bigger sizes, the sleeves don't increase as rapidly as the body, and so you don't end up with super deep armholes, which is a common issue with raglans I have seen. If you are interested in this pattern, it is available on Ravelry and my website, which are always linked down below. So this is the second sample that I made using 2 strands of Drops Flora, and then in place of a mohair, it's like this random laceway boucle, and also this like really fine lace strand of another unknown cone yarn that I have that says cashmere on it, but I actually have no idea what the composition is. So this might have a position of cashmere, might have a percentage of cashmere, that's what I'm trying to say, but I'm not entirely sure. But the finished piece is very, very soft. It's definitely softer than my first sample, which was 2 strands of Flora, 1 strand of kid silk mohair, but I do think that is typical with like the Drops mohair. It's maybe not the softest thing, and yeah, it's super wearable basic. And without going on too much about this, let's get into this month, because I mean, yeah, like I said, it's a mixed bag. I don't have every single thing, so I am hoping that I will be able to pop up on the screen some clips from other videos of me sort of showing them, because I also didn't take photos because one of them was repairing one of my boyfriend's gift knits I gave him before, and second of all was a new gift knit for him, so he has taken both of those, but I do have one other thing of his. But yeah, those things will have to be inserted. And like I said, quite a lot of the yarn I haven't got because some of it is actually advent yarn. So yeah, anyway, we will dive straight into finished pieces. So I actually have no finished garments this month. I have basically a load of yokes. So my 2 completely finished projects are accessories, or I guess one's an accessory, I don't really know what you class the other one as. And also I'm going to show the alterations in this portion because they are essentially finished pieces. In terms of completely new to me projects and the thing that I actually do have to show you, if you have caught any of my recent videos, you might have seen I have been on this little train of trying to learn stranded colour work. It's been such a big goal of mine for so long. I don't even know why I put it off for ages, because actually it was so much easier than I thought, which I'm so bad for, is like putting things off because I think they're going to be hard and then they're not. But I decided that I was going to follow a pattern for my first colour work piece, just to make it a little bit easier on myself, and also to not do a garment, because I only had to worry about the technique and not about a garment fitting. So this is my Maxine Hot Water Bottle cover by Laura Penrose. So I'll show you from here. You can obviously see it's, the main colour is this brown, and then the two contrast colours are like a light pink and this kind of dark reddy kind of pink. I will hold this up a little bit closer. So I had all of this yarn in stash. This is a mix of the light pink and the brown are the Hobby Friends wool, and the pink is 2 strands of the Hobby Friends sock yarn held double. I have been eyeing this up for so long. I, at the beginning of this year, remember saying, I'm going to try and make more projects this year that aren't just garments, because, you know, things like this are actually a very useful item. Hot water balls generally one of the only things that help me when I'm on my monthlies, and so, you know, we're using this relatively frequently, not even to mention that we're about to get into some of the most disgusting weather of the whole year. So yeah, I guess I will quickly chat about the pattern and then we'll get on to the yarn afterwards. So the pattern was so easy to follow. The chart is really, really simple. I mean, the pattern is so just like succinct. It's just like boom, 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 just, yeah, super good. I mean, not surprised, because I really do like Laura Penrose as a designer. I watched pretty much all of her videos, although I hadn't actually made anything from her. It's not very typical of me to follow other people's patterns. I do like to generally design things for myself, but it's always really interesting to see how other people write things out and stuff. And yeah, it was just so easy. I mean, I kind of went through a few different ways of trying to knit this. So I'm an English style knitter, so I did try and do one hand English, one hand continental. Yeah, I really struggled with that. Then at some points I was just sort of picking up and putting back down, especially on the rows where there were long sections of one colour and it wasn't sort of like 1 stitch, 2 stitches, 1 stitch, 2 stitches, or something like that. There's a few places where you end up with 5 stitches of one colour, or even 7, which I did end up catching my floats for those, but it meant that it wasn't too bad to flick back and forth. And I also don't know how to, like, I can't remember the exact terminology for this. I don't sort of like pick up each strand. I tend to tension it. Like, the way I hold yarn looks very similar to how you would tension continental, where I'm constantly just like going like this instead of like actually picking every strand. So I feel like I can knit pretty quickly for English style knitting anyway. And then some sections I did also experiment with holding both strands. So what I basically did was like I tensioned both. So I tend to like tension around my pinky and like weave the yarn through my fingers, and then use this finger to maneuver each stitch where it's constantly tensioned here. But what I did was I threaded both through my hands and then put my finger in between the 2 strands of yarn, and basically would pick up either side depending on what stitch I was knitting, which was much easier in the cases where there was like quick succession of like 2 stitches of one colour, 1 stitch of another, stuff like that, where there wasn't long sort of strips in one colour. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I guess for me it was like a combination of those two that kind of got me through this. I worked through this so fast. It was so it was just so much fun, especially seeing the whole sort of pattern come together, because obviously as you're knitting each kind of row individually, you can see the different colours on your needles, but you can't really see the bigger picture. So yeah, it was just so much fun seeing this whole thing come together. And I will say I am very proud of my tension. This is maybe like, I don't know, you could maybe do better if you've knit colour work before, but for me, someone that had never done this, I am super proud. And I didn't properly block this, so there's basically two options when you start, because you cast on at the bottom. You can either do a Judy's Magic cast on, which is closed, and then at the end you funnel it through this top opening, like the actual hot water bottle, or what I did is you can cast on in the round, and it basically means that you have to seam it up at the end. So I basically knit the whole thing up to this part, which is called the collar, then put the hot water bottle in, seamed this up, carried on knitting this top bit. I think this is actually meant to fold out, but because the hot water bottle I bought is this like really jarringly bright blue, it didn't quite go with the vibe. I basically have just knit this a bit shorter and just tuck this top bit in so that you can't really actually see anything. And as I fill it up, I've just been like taking this out. So I slotted in the hot water bottle and then sewed it up around it. So I didn't want to fully submerge this in water to block it. So I did do this in a vlog if you're interested, but I basically just put it in and then spritzed it with I have like a spray bottle that I like spritz my hair with, spritz the outside and then let it to dry. So it didn't drastically change the tension, but I will say it didn't really need too much. I was making sure not to pull the yarn floats super tight, so I didn't really run into many tension issues there. I was quite sort of carefully placing each of my stitches, but yeah, I mean, this was just such a joy. I had so much fun knitting this. I'd probably have knit this up even quicker. I think I did this in like 2 or 3 days, but I was sort of flitting back and forth between other projects. So about the yarn, I will say this yarn was sent to me for free, but it's not something I had to speak about. It was because I did some short form content for Hobby like last year, and I basically had a load of random balls of just like, it's not even scraps because they're entire balls, but I had no quantity of each colour to put together to make a piece. I basically had like 1 of this and 2 of this, so I took some colours out of it that I thought went well together. I did go through a couple of different mock-ups because the jumper that I've decided to make as my first colourwork jumper, this was a potential colour scheme, but I went with something else, so I thought I would use the same colour scheme on this, and I think it looks so nice. The yarn is very nice actually. There are 2 more projects in this video made with this yarn. I seem to be getting my act together and like working through some of my stash yarn. But if you're someone that's maybe a little bit more sensitive, and if you don't like something that's comparable to say like a Peer Gynt, this is definitely softer. It doesn't have that rusticness or scratchiness that some of those other yarns do, but it still has like the toothiness that you want for colour work. It's got a really nice texture, and this is going to be something that I just think is going to be, I'm just going to get so much use out of this generally. I can't remember exactly what the colourways are because honestly I have lost the paper like tabs for each of the balls of yarn, but yeah, like I said, the pink is a sock yarn, although with the Friends range you can basically get each of the colours, or like most of the colours, on all of their different yarn bases, so I can't imagine it would be too hard to find. But yeah, I think this brown might be Americano, could be wrong though. But yeah, this was such a good first colour project. It has really made me a lot more confident, and I'm so excited to actually get started on a proper jumper. So yeah, that was my first completely finished project this month, although it definitely wasn't the first thing that I cast on. I'm just so gassed to be able to use this. Me and my boyfriend, this is really exciting, kind of why I've been super frazzled, are, fingers crossed, if all the paperwork goes through, going to be moving out in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait to take this with us. I'm just like trying to think of all of the different homeware things that I can make. So yeah, this is going to be so useful, and I think it's just so cute, and I do really like my colour placement on this because that was something that I was going back and forth on for a while. My next completely finished piece is is actually an accessory, and I'm gonna have to overlay hopefully some footage from another video because I don't have it to hand. I knit the hipster hat for my boyfriend as part of his anniversary gift from me. It was our, I think, 4-year anniversary at the end of August, so like last week. Again, this was yarn that was sent to me for free, but again with no need to talk about it. The yarn is from Knit Picks, which is not a company that I would probably order from, purely because they are an American based company and the shipping is insane. So they basically reached out to me, this is like going back a good few months now, and said, I basically filled out this like questionnaire of like what fibers I like, what colors I like, and they sent me a couple of balls of different things just to see and to try, like, you know, to see if I like them. And basically the way they do it is you get like one ball of each yarn, which obviously isn't a huge quantity, and they sent me it's either the cotton woolen or the woolen cotton, whatever that is. It's 50% merino, 50% cotton, in this like foresty green color. And it was just like, I literally, as soon as I took it out of the bag, I was like, that is so Ryan. Like, he loves that shade of green. I said to him at the time, it's probably going to be enough to make you a hat. So that was the plan. And I didn't get around to it for ages. And then obviously with our anniversary coming up, I thought, what better reason to actually make him this hat? So obviously, you know, a 50% cotton is probably not the most straightforward or the most obvious yarn choice for a hat, but it's what I had. It got it out of stash. So like I said, it's the hipster hat by Petite Knit. I really liked this hat as opposed to some of her other ones. Firstly, I love 2x2 rib. I'm a real sucker for 2x2 rib. Secondly, I love the crown shaping on this hat. I think that the way that all 4 points decrease into the center on the top just looks so clean. It looks so good. I also liked that there wasn't any like sagginess on the top. The hat pretty much sits flat on the head. I'm hoping at this point you are looking at me trying it on. But yeah, I also learned a new cast on for this, which is the tubular 2x2, I think. So you basically cast on with like a tubular cast on, and then you have to essentially like rearrange the stitches into a 2x2 formation, which I had never done before. So that was quite fun to learn. I definitely think that maybe in this yarn it doesn't look as neat as it could. I think it does look fine. Like when I gave it to him, he was like, oh my god, it doesn't even look like you've made this, which is a very high compliment, and I was very pleased he said that. But I think because the cotton doesn't have the same grippiness as wool normally would, and obviously the merino is like, merinos are more softer, I guess, like slidier, if that makes sense, like silkier fiber than like a more traditional wool. I do feel like the cast on that I did could have been a little bit tighter, but then at the same time it does have a lot of stretch, and I knit the biggest size for him. I will say I was convinced I was going to run out of yarn because the meterage that I had was shorter than the pattern called for. But he had said to me before that he wasn't too bothered if the hat was a little bit shorter because he quite liked the look of, like, you know, the little fisherman beanies. So I knit the pattern about 1 inch shorter. Essentially, you just like knit a tube and then like shape the top. So I knit the tube part about 1 inch shorter to try and give myself like the bit of leeway that I needed. Finished it, cast it off, and I had loads of yarn left. Not like loads, but like well enough. Although I'm actually glad I didn't go any longer, because after having seen him put it on, the top bit does have quite the fold back. I think if it had another inch, it would have literally have just been like too long. So yeah, all in all, worked out in the end. The yarn is very nice. If there wasn't all of this issue with like the tariffs and stuff going on, I would absolutely buy this yarn for myself. I think this would be so nice as a summer garment. I don't mean like necessarily a top. I guess you could. It's like a DK weight though. But I think this would be really nice as like a cardigan or a jumper or something that you could get away with wearing in the summer, because obviously it's half cotton. I don't know, it has that almost like dry feel to the yarn. I don't think it's something that would irritate your skin very much, and I just think like I've been on the lookout for some kind of half wool, half cotton type yarn, because I would love to make a cardigan or jacket or some kind of outerwear piece that I could specifically wear on like summer evenings or like mornings when it's like a little bit chilly, but you know the temperature is going to change during the day. I think this would be a really good yarn for that kind of weather, and the color's super nice as well. I honestly haven't looked through the rest of their color range, but this green almost had like a heathery kind of look and texture to it, so there was almost little flecks of like turquoise and things like that throughout the yarn, which I think just gave it such a nice look. And yeah, again, this was a super quick project. I'd probably knit this up much quicker if I'd actually just worked on this monotonously. I reckon you could probably like whip this up in like a day or two. It was, I mean, you know, it's a petite knit pattern. I'm not going to dwell on it. She obviously writes her patterns well, and it comes in like a range of different sizes. I'm so not a hat wearer. I really don't think that they suit me, but if I was to make a hat, it would likely be that one, because I do quite like the fit of it and the way that it is just like on your head. I don't like the beanies that are like saggy up here. But yeah, they are my two completely finished projects, which is so unusual for me. So I'm going to quickly go over the things that I altered for Ryan this month, and then we will get into my whips, because one of them I don't think you'd have seen, maybe two. The others do have some kind of project vlog up on the channel. So let's get into the alterations. I will show you this one because I actually have it to hand. So if you've been a more long-term follower of this channel, you might know that I knit this for him for Christmas last year. So I honestly feel like a broken record every time I talk about this. When we were in Denmark last year, he picked the yarn for this. The yarn is Let Lopi by Istex, and again, I don't know the exact colorway, but it is this sort of like heathered navy type of color. It is super rustic. I do not recommend this yarn if you are in any way sensitive to wool. This killed me the first time I knit it for him, and I self-drafted this for him. It's this raglan with all over 2x2 rib, and the collar, cuffs and hem are in 1x1, so it kind of gives it the look of having edges, even though like it doesn't. I don't know, does that make sense? The collar is double folded, and it also has the Danish flag on the sleeve because he bought that from the yarn shop and he wanted it on there, so that was completely his choice, because it's kind of like it was his Christmas present, and it's obviously a gift knit, but it's also like a bit of a souvenir knit for the both of us because we got on holiday together, and it's like got the memories associated with that, which is also quite fun. So I obviously knit this last year. I knit this on 4mm needles, so the yarn recommends between a 4 and a 5. I think this yarn is much more typically used for colour work and maybe not so much texture. I knit this on metal needles because at the time my wooden needles were in a different project, and I think that is what made me hate it. So the problem is because this is 2x2 rib, obviously it was like a little bit more fitted on him than he would have liked. So I was like, it's fine, I can block it. Blocked it, gave it to him, he had it for a couple of months, and he was like, is there any way you could stretch this even bigger? Because he's like me, he likes like an oversized jumper. I said, yeah, that's fine. So reblocked it, thought that would be like Gucci, but because I kept blocking it in width, it like obviously was shrinking ever so slightly in length, and it got to the point where like it was absolutely fine at the front, and there are short rows in this, but evidently not quite enough because the back ended up looking a bit shorter than the front. So what I did, and again there is vlogs coming on this, is I basically cut the bottom off and re-knit even longer. So you can actually see where I've reblocked this kind of on the sides because of where I pinned it, so I do need to re-wet this down. But yeah, I basically knit more, added some length, it's way better now. I also made the bottom sort of 1x1 section a bit thicker. This was a much thinner bottom hem, and yeah, I think really that's about it. I just added some length, but it's, I mean, fixed the problem that we had with it. I had loads of leftover. I definitely really overbought on this yarn because I had no idea how much like yarn this was going to take. But yeah, I mean, this it wasn't like a huge fix. It did take me a bit of time. What I was gonna do, which you will see when the video comes, when I cut the bottom off, I was going to regraft it together. And then basically, as I was knitting, I like took it to work, I was knitting on my lunch break, and then I realised I'd knit way past the point that I actually needed to regraft them together. And this yarn is really not the nicest thing to sew with. So like sewn bind-offs and stuff are a bit of a nightmare. But as I was trying to like graft it back together, in rib as well, bearing in mind, so it's not even like a normal Kitchener stitch or graft stitch because it's not stockinette. Like the yarn just kept sticking, and I just thought, oh my god, I have enough yarn, I'm just going to reknit the bottom. So I did just end up reknitting this entire bottom section. Yeah, you can kind of see like maybe from here. I am just gonna probably spritz this where the blocking pins have left marks, and then beyond that it's basically done. And he's super pleased with it. He's so knit worthy. I have knit him 2 jumpers as gift knits, obviously the hat. He wants another jumper this year, and he actually does wear them, so I don't mind doing it. The other thing that I fixed of his, and again I'm hoping I'm going to be able to insert some kind of like clip of me wearing it over the top, was the first jumper I gift knit him, and I actually hate it so much. It's like a couple strands of acrylic held together. The way that I knit it is just like not it. I don't know, like the fit is just not my favorite. And I was like, oh, are you sure you even want to keep it? And he's like, yeah. There was just like a couple of like holes and stuff. I mean, he's had it for probably coming on 3 years now, and to actually get that much wear out of like an acrylic jumper, there were just some like general areas of wear and tear. It wasn't a huge fix. I literally just darned up some of the holes, and then I also was able to find my fabric shaver, so I just basically gave it like an all over and just like a bit of a spruce. Generally it just looks way better. It doesn't look so worn in anymore. But yeah, that was the other thing that I did for him. So again, nothing too crazy, but was something that I worked on this month. So now I feel like let's actually get into the interesting stuff. I have 3 kind of garment whips that I have on the go, or I had 2 on the go, and then I don't know what happened. I just started feeling so overwhelmed. I think I'm always working on one project at a time, and I had like a cardigan, a jumper, I had the hot water bottle cover, the hat. I was working on his things, and I just felt like I lost steam on a couple of them. So once I had finished those other bits, I just decided, put these 2 projects I'm going to talk about first aside, and I cast on the 3rd one. That is my only main whip right now. I'm going to finish that and then go back to these jumpers. So I'm going to go through these chronologically of when I started them, but I haven't made progress on the first 2 in a little while. This is another project that is in the Hobby Friends as well. This yarn again was sent to me for free, but again I don't have to speak about it. I just feel like, I don't know, I should say that because I'm not knitting all of these things as like an advert or anything. It's just that they have gifted me so much yarn over the years, and I'm actually finally getting around to using it. It just so happens to all be in the same month. So I, again, with this one, do feel like a bit of a broken record. If you've watched some of my recent videos or videos over time, you might have seen the original version of this, which I haven't dragged out. But this is the, I don't even want to call this a second sample. I am going to call this the revamped, or the version, like the second version of my, this is my own design. I'm calling it the Cables Delight as of right now. I don't know why, every time I think of this project I have just given it that name in my head. So this isn't an actual pattern that is out yet, but it is the intention to get around trying it up if I can figure out how to actually write all these charts out. It is graded. But yeah, this is the second version of my Cables Delight jumper. So as you can see, it's like this all over kind of different stitches and cables. This middle section I think is called a double interrupted rib. We've got like a pretty standard cable, some rows of eyelets, and a mini cable here as well. Okay, low-key I got too hot, so I'm hoping that the window's not going to be too loud being open. But yeah, it's this all over texture. I also did something new to me for the collar, where you do the 2 rows of double knit before the rib, which I think looks so nice and clean. The reason that I kind of got to a standstill with this is because I started the sleeve, and I actually want to rework it, rechart it. Basically the problem that I have is with the amount of decreases that I need to do, it's gonna start sort of coming up into this section where the eyelets are, which would be fine, but the whole top of this is also just pretty, you know, it's just this texture, so it's not the most interesting thing. So basically what I want to do is rip out, I mean, I'm not that far, rip out the sleeve, make the underarm texture bigger, move these panels up so that when it gets to the bottom, like as in the cuff, I'm not losing out on the most interesting part of this whole sleeve, right? So I basically just didn't have like the brain space to be reworking it out, and so it went to the side. This feels so nice, all knitted up as well in this yarn. It's obviously got a lot of stretch because it's basically just like a version of rib, right, this, like, because of the cables and stuff. So it is going to be actually more oversized than I think that this looks as of right now, but I do really love the look of this. I think this will be such a staple in like the autumn and winter. So once I finish my current project, I am going to get back to this. This version also has a European shoulder construction, whereas the original was just a drop with no short row shaping. So the original version was knit bottom up in the round, split front and back, seam the shoulders, sleeves, and knit down in the round, and obviously collar added on. This one is knit top down from the back, pretty standard, short rows. The reason that I did a European shoulder for this is so that, because it can be, I think, sometimes a little bit tricky when you're trying to keep track of German short rows in pattern, especially depending on where you have to turn the row and stuff. I thought it would be easier if all of the short rows were in the back, and then by the time you pick up the front and knit forward on the shoulders, they're just completely flat. So like the most difficult part is just like done out of the way, and then every other part is just, you're just keeping track of the chart repeats and not also like, you know, going further on each German short row, making sure that you're in the correct place in each different stitch pattern. So yeah, that is why I have done it like this. So this is the what it looks like from the back, and then obviously this is what it looks like from the front. I've also kept the same as the original. All of the edges are going to be 2x2 rib. I was conflicted on whether to do half twisted rib or not, but I honestly just love the look of 2x2 rib, and I think it's, you know, a nice thing to continue from the original, because that is one of the things that I did like. I didn't on this one do any contrast edges. I did on the original. I was going to do brown, in that brown that the hot water bottle cover, the main thing, was in, but I actually just decided that I wanted this to be all cream, so I didn't. That's basically the only reasoning. The other thing is, on the original there's no sleeve shaping. This one is going to have more tapered sleeves. It is going to have an all over oversized feel, but I've discovered about myself, I'm not the best at wearing wider sleeves. It bothers me when they dangle into things, and so I do prefer when things come up into a cuff. Even if the cuff is a bit oversized, I think it just helps, I don't know, keep things where they need to be. So yeah, this is going to be the one that I get back to next. I actually was really enjoying working on this. It's every now and then I do like to do like quite a heavily all over thing like this. I think the other thing this month is that like no project that I worked on this month was stockinette. Like this is rib. I had a lace cardigan on the go, which I'll tell you in a minute. Obviously my boyfriend's jumper was in 2x2, the hat was 2x2, the hot water bottle was colour work, and so in terms of like designing and stuff, I was just like, I can't even think about it. But yeah, it looks super cute. And oh yeah, under the arm it's also got this texture panel, so there's no plain sections of stockinette. On the original, this portion under here was just plain stockinette, but I decided to keep it textured because why the hell not? This is so easy as well, this stitch pattern. I went for this because I feel like a lot of pieces use a moss or a double moss, and I love the way that looks, but I also feel like there are so many other stitches that we can be using. So that is enough about that. I'm gonna get back to this as soon as I can. And this colorway, I want to say that this is like the off-white color, or like color 2. I don't know if it's like a cream or if it's like off-white, but yeah, it's super nice. And then this is the lace cardigan that I was just saying about. So this is knit using Drops Bell, which is a let me think, linen, viscose and cotton blend. I'm gonna hold this up. So again, this kind of looks like not much of anything. It's also really scrunched up because it has just been in this project bag. But this is obviously this all over lace sort of pattern. This is actually the back. I am holding it upside down. So this is another European shoulder for the same reason as the cabled, so that when you get onto the front you're just knitting flat. There's no annoying short row turns or anything. This is, I've actually got a whole ball of this here, so I will tell you, this is color 26. It's whatever like the white sort of color is. And again, I should say this is on 4mm. The cabled jumper is also on 4mm. I would try and like lay this over my shoulder. The intention for this is to be a v-neck cardigan with set in sleeves, and I'm gonna have I-cord ties at the front in one singular point. The idea for this is again to be a bit of a transitional piece. This yarn is obviously quite traditional of a summer fibre, and I bought this with the intention to make a summer top, but I just honestly don't feel like that is what I'm feeling right now, and you can always rebuy the yarn. So I decided to repurpose it for this project, because in terms of knitted projects, I think I'm gonna get a lot more wear out of a cardigan than I am out of a top. I'm someone that runs hot, clearly, and I knitted the Soul Top this year by Rose Knitwear, which is a DK weight project, and I just feel like it's too hot at times to even think about wearing that. So I decided to obviously repurpose the yarn for this. I really enjoy the way that this stitch looks. It's an all over lace without feeling too girly, if that makes sense. I think this would be really nice. You know, you could wear this as a bikini cover up. Likewise, you can wear it over a vest top. You can wear this under a coat. It's not super thick. It's just something that I think is going to be quite a nice textured layering piece. You can kind of wear across seasons. So once I've finished the cabled cardigan, I will definitely get back to this. It's not something that I'm per se giving up on. I just, like I said, think I took on too much this month, or not even took on too much, but just like was designing too much, and I couldn't like find it hard when I'm working on multiple projects because I don't know what to prioritize. So I think it was good for me to just put these both down, and then when I come back to them with like a fresh start, it will be like absolutely fine. This was also a particular challenge for me because I've never graded a set and sleeve before. So I've knit one for myself, which was another lace cardigan in Drops brushed alpaca silk, but that was just like a try on as you go type of project. It wasn't something that I actually sat down and did like an entire spreadsheet for. There's a really great blog post by Sister Mountain that I was pretty much following to the T on how to grade for set and sleeves and how you work out. Hers are basically, I think, done bottom up and as if you were knitting in panels to sew. So I did have to kind of like move some of the instructions around. Instead of having increases in the sleeve, for me it's going to be German short row turns, and likewise in like the back for the European shoulder. And say like for example, when you're working out like the underarm and then the shaping here, for her it's decreases, whereas for me it's increases because I'm going top down. So it was a challenge. It was really like just struggling in my brain. I don't know what possessed me to try and cast on and work out so much. I think I was just so excited about each of these projects. I just didn't even know what to do, so I was like, I'll just do them all. And now I'm in this position where I'm like, I literally can't face any of them. So yeah, this is a challenge. I'm really hoping that this is going to work out because I just think this would be such a cool project. I don't know, I really enjoy the yarn. I love it in this stitch. Once this has been blocked as well, like obviously at the minute it kind of does this thing where it like, I don't know, bunches in, but I just think it looks so crisp in this lace stitch, and it's a really easy stitch repeat. It's only like a 6 stitch repeat over 2 rows, so you can literally memorize it in absolutely no time. So those are my projects that I have been avoiding a little bit, I will say. I'm going to show you now my current whip, and I actually haven't shared this anywhere yet. I shared a swatch on my Instagram story and quite a few people liked the story and responded to it, but I haven't shown this anywhere yet, and there is going to be a project vlog coming. So I actually can't even show you the full extent of my desk without taking you off the tripod, but basically, as I was saying, I had a load of friends wool sent to me for free from Hobby. Oh god, hang on, I'm accidentally frogging here. Yeah, they sent me loads of different colours. I could pick out what colours I liked, and the intention that I originally had was that I was going to knit a striped jumper, but I don't know, I've just been craving crochet recently. I haven't crocheted in ages. It's what I did before I could knit, and so I decided that I was going to do a crochet project with this, which, you know, I don't do it often, but when I do, I really enjoy the process of crocheting, but I prefer the look of knitted garments for the most part. I really enjoy crochet for accessories, for lace stitches, for homeware. I can crochet much quicker than I can knit, or not even. I can knit quick, but crochet works up a lot quicker than knit, I should say. And yeah, I had all these different balls. So these are basically the ones that I have currently got on the go, but there are a whole load of them sprawled across my desk, but I don't want to mix them together as of right now because these are my working balls. So I'm basically using about 10 different colours. Once I get through these, some of these I have second balls of, and the other ones I have very similar colours in the Friends sock yarn. So I'm just going to show you these as an example. I think they might even be the same shade, just on different bases. So this is one of the Friends wool that I'm using, and I think this is the same colour actually as my hot water bottle. And then these are the sock yarn. So I'm not going to say for exact certain that these are the same color because they very well might not be, because I have lost the labels. But I think in this all over, basically scrappy project, I don't think you're going to be able to tell. So it's helping me stash bust. I am hoping to write a pattern for this, and yeah, the intention is just to be able to use up loads of DK weight scraps to make, I think, quite a unique project. So let me show you. I actually do have a ball attached, which I forgot. So this stitch is called a crochet moss or linen stitch. I think it truthfully goes by both names, so that's why I'm kind of calling it both. But this is where I'm at currently. Actually, tell a lie, this is the inside, so let me just flip that back round. I am making a zip up, I don't even know if I'd call this a cardigan, a zip up jumper. So the collar, cuffs, hem and strips either side of the zip are going to be all knit in this, like, let me hold this up, this kind of colour. It's definitely, I would say, a cream and not an off-white. I have 4 balls of that. Yeah, so this is what like the whole ball looks like. So if you can imagine, all the trim's going to be in this, and each row of this is a different colour. So I have basically I'm doing a 10 row repeat, but they're not all in the same order. So I'm using the same amount of each yarn, but the order that I'm doing it in is completely random, and this is what it's looking like. Oh, I actually quite like that bottom section. I will slide this on so you can see, because I feel like this is quite difficult to look at. So maybe I'll put a picture on the screen of like the type of silhouette that I am going for. Again, there's a whole project vlog coming, but I basically am going to knit the rib section. So it's going to have this like high sort of rib collar, zip down the middle, and then yeah, obviously this crochet stitch all over. I do need to go in and trim off like some of the yarn ends that I've caught, and obviously weave some in, so that is why some sections are looking like a little bit ratty. Overall though, I think this just looks so cool. You could really use anything that's Basically you're gonna have to use more than 3 colors for this, because if you do this stitch in 2 colors, you'll end up actually with vertical stripes. I guess you could if you wanted that look, but if you wanted this sort of like all over random textured look, you would have to use more than 3 colors. But yeah, it's just gonna to try and use up like as many scraps as possible. And I will chat to you a little bit about the construction, because I did work quite hard on trying to figure out how to do this. So basically what I wanted to do for this is I wanted to incorporate some kind of short rows to mimic the way in which I knit, because obviously it gives you a much better fit and it helps stop the back of your garments from rising. So okay, yeah, you can actually see, that's nice. You can see that the shoulders are on a slant. So basically the way that I did this is I chained the whole way across the length of the shoulders, which is again what I would do in knit, and then basically each of these rows is only crocheted for like a certain amount of stitches longer than the row below, and the front is the same. So this isn't a European shoulder, this is just a normal drop with the seam right on the sort of like right on your shoulders, but it has given it this nice slant. And obviously the neckline is shaped, it's going to be, I don't even know if I'd call this a crew neck, because obviously the rib is going to come up quite high. It is going to have some sort of tapered sleeve, it's not going to be left completely wide, so I am going to have to do decreases in this stitch. And under the arm has also cast on a amount of stitches. So yeah, I was trying to mimic like a knitting pattern as much as I could, or like knitting construction, but in crochet. And this has just been so much fun to work on. Like I said, I love actually crocheting, I find it so much fun. This stitch in particular I'm such a big fan of. It's so simple but looks so effective. You literally just single crochet 1, chain 1, and then on the next row you single crochet into the chain and chain over the single crochet. So it's like single crochet, chain, and then on the next row it's single crochet, chain. I don't know, it's kind of, I've explained that really convolutedly because you go back and forth. It's single crochet, chain, and then chain, single crochet. Whatever, it's really easy. It's just 2 stitches basically. But yeah, you could really do this with as many colors as you want. You could keep this more to a succinct color scheme. This is all the colors that I was going to do as stripes, but I do quite like this look where they are kind of still stripes but also not. I will get up closer so you can see all of the different colors sort of going into each other. And I was worried at first that this was going to be too much, but I don't know, I like the way that they kind of all muddle together. This is my main whip. This is what I'm going to finish next before I get back to some of those knitting projects. And the other good thing about crochet as well is that it does eat more yarn, so I'm hoping to get through way more of these balls than I would be able to in a knit project. And it's also a lot quicker because I'm doing this with DK weight yarn. If I was to knit this on 4mm needles, which all of my other projects have been this month, that obviously would have taken a lot longer. So I've pretty much only been working on this week. And yeah, it's just been so much fun. This isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. It is a bit jarring to look at. I'm hoping that once all of the edges go on, it's going to make it look way more like cohesive. But yeah, that is it for the main part. I'm really excited, and like I said, there will be another whole project vlog on this coming. The yarn as well is just as nice to crochet as it is to knit. I find that this yarn isn't prone to splitting or anything like that. I can find sometimes with crochet that certain yarns are more annoying to crochet with than they are to knit. Splitty yarn is kind of annoying in general, but I hate when you kind of like hook through the yarn. I find that I don't really have that project with this. There are a couple, there's like maybe 1 or 2 yarns that are in this that aren't the Friends. For example, navy was another DK weight navy sent to me from Knit Picks, so I just had 1 ball of this. I thought, why not throw it in? I feel like it goes with the color scheme. I can't remember what yarn this is. It's another DK weight. It's another DK weight sort of wool composition. I want to say this is maybe like got gloss in the name, but that might be wrong. But yeah, it's really nice, it's really soft. It does have a little bit of a sheen to it, but it really doesn't notice when it's mixed in with all of this other yarn. And yeah, this is sort of where I'm at with each of the balls in terms of like how much I have left. So definitely still going to have enough for at least a couple more rounds on the body. And then, like I said, I have also a load of the sock yarn. So some of these I have second balls of. So this is what the Friends ball looks like in like normal ball form. This is pretty much the same color as my top. And then yeah, like for example the brown, I'm just gonna hold that double. I have some of these sort of colors left, which is what I used in the hot water bottle. So although they're not exact color matches for the ones I'm already using, I think that because this like the colors aren't going to be next to each other, so I think that overall like you're not even going to be able to tell a difference. So yeah, it's been nice getting these things out of stash, and I just want to see this finish now because I'm just hoping that my vision is going to come to life. So that is really it for projects this month. So we're going to get now into the yarn. So I have one lot of yarn here, and then I have another lot of yarn that's on the way, and also the 2 advents that I bought this month that obviously aren't going to come until December, but I'm just going to chat about them here because I did actually buy them this month. So the first lot of yarn that I had is Knitting for Olive, and I feel like a lot of people are probably going to have this in their podcasts this month, so you've probably seen this absolutely everywhere. Knitting for Olive did a day where basically all of the proceeds and profit that they made was donated to Gaza and to Palestine, and they basically I think raised like over 700 euros, which is absolutely crazy. So I had ordered this yarn. This was the yarn that I was intending to buy, and then I ended up placing a second order later in the day because this is for a gift knit, and I basically decided that I wanted some for myself. So that order hasn't come in yet. It's just been shipped. I've had the notification, but they've just been so backlogged on orders because they obviously had so many, which is absolutely fabulous. But yeah, this is the only one that I have here to show you, so I will put the other colours up on the screen in a minute. As I said, this is for a gift knit. This colourway, I believe, is called, yeah, Artichoke Purple. And this is for a gift knit for my mum for Christmas. And she has absolutely no idea that she's getting it. If you caught my autumn plans video, which was last week's video, you will have seen the plans that I have for this colour. And I know that there is a glare, but I don't want to take it out because it is vacuum sealed. So I feel like it's keeping my yarn safe. You can see the colour here. This is in the merino. They have more colorways in the merino than the heavy merino, but the intention is that I'm going to hold this double, and I'm going to do some kind of all over texture jumper with this. I don't know whether it's going to be lace or cables, or whether it's just going to be some kind of knit purl stitch, but I know for certain it's not going to be plain stockinette. I am potentially leaning away from cables, I think just for speed. I think maybe some kind of lace stitch that isn't completely all over lace, because obviously this is going to be more for like a winter garment, so I don't want it to be super holey because that's probably not going to be the warmest thing, or maybe some kind of knit purl stitch, but I haven't exactly decided yet. I've got quite a few books that are just like stitch dictionaries, so I'm just going to have a browse through those before I make this. This is maybe not so much my colour, but it's the kind of colour that she loves. So I always enjoy making things for other people because it allows me to do things that I probably wouldn't knit for myself. I'm really excited about this design, even if it's maybe more her style than mine. But yeah, so that is why I bought the merino instead of the heavy merino. I am excited to use this. I haven't used this yarn before either, and also it's just great to be part of like the whole cause and everything that they donated money to. So yeah, this is the first order that I had in from Knitting for Olive. The second order, which I will pop up the colours on the screen, was actually in the heavy merino, and like I said, this is for myself. So I recently made my pinstripe cardigan, which has gone into test now, and I wanted to make a jumper version because I don't know, I really loved the look of it and I really enjoyed working on it. And this version is going to be more oversized. It's going to be in a slightly bigger gauge because the heavy merino is sort of like a worsted weight gauge, whereas the cardigan's DK weight. And it's going to be slightly different in terms of, in the cardigan, it's striped everywhere. It's striped on the cuffs, the collar, the hem, the button band. There's no solid sections of colour. On the jumper, I do want to have solid colour ribbing sections, and then the body's going to be an all over stripe. So I picked out this burgundy and blue. I think they have a really nice contrast. I've been wanting to make something in this color scheme for a little while. Again, this was in my autumn plans, and I think the colorways are Bordeaux and Dove Blue, so I'm still waiting on them to come. And again, that's another project that I'm really excited to get working on once I have finished tackling sort of a load of these. But yeah, those are my Knitting for Olive orders, so just patiently awaiting that one to arrive. Not that I could even start knitting it up yet, so it's probably a good thing that it's not here. In terms of advent calendars, and honestly, this was a huge treat for myself. So last year I got the Onling advent calendar, and the way that that one worked is it was a four weekly advent. So every Sunday you basically open the yarn, you pre-picked the colours that you wanted, and each week had a different accessory. So on that weekend you also got an email with the pattern. There was like a hat, mittens, a scarf, or like a cowl thing, and also socks. But this year I wanted to go for hand dyed. I really want to make myself an all over crochet linen stitch blanket, especially now, like I said, that me and my boyfriend are probably going to be moving out. I think that would be a really nice thing to own. So I was really torn between the Fibre Fox and the I can't remember the name exactly. There's something duckling. I will put them up on the screen, advent calendars. And I ended up buying both, which is excessive and it was expensive, and it's something that I was only really able to afford because which I also do want to say thank you so much to everyone that bought the capsule drop sweater pattern, because I had quite a good release on that and it's been so much fun like seeing what everyone's working on. But basically with the money that I made from my pattern sales and like the little bit of money that I make from YouTube and stuff, I basically treated myself to these advents. So they're both daily advents. I was torn between getting the ones that you get like one full skein a week or where you get the minis. Both of them are DK weight mini skeins that you open for 24 days. So my intention is, because I believe that there are about 45 meters per mini skein for each advent, what I'm hoping to do is to make a blanket in which I'm measure out the amount of yarn it takes to do each row. So for example, if I can get a row out of like 20 meters, then I can use each yarn twice. And then I think what I'm going to do is probably buy just like a normal commercial yarn in like a white or a cream to use as like a solid color the whole way through, and then alternate through the skeins of the advent. Because although the advents are obviously from different dyers and they're slightly different themes, by the look of the vibes of them, I'm hoping that all of the colours are going to look quite nice together anyway. So that is my intention. And then another thing is whatever DK weight scraps I have left after this scrappy project and up until the new year, and when I get to work on the blanket, I will just add in more and more scraps that I have into that project as a way to like keep working through stash, as well as obviously using some really nice hand dyed yarn. And you know, what better way to spend my money than supporting other, you know, small businesses and small dyers and stuff. So yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun and I'm looking forward to that. But obviously none of that is going to come until December, so I will probably be opening that with you in the December vlogs and then sort of show you all at the end. So that is pretty much everything for this month. I've spent a hell of a lot of money on yarn, although it obviously is a little bit out of the norm for me. And yeah, obviously all these projects I've been working on have been so much fun. I just really need to actually commit to finishing off a lot of them. So hopefully in the next podcast episode I am going to be able to show you a load of finished pieces. That is the intention. So yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I feel like my brain right now is so frazzled. There's so many things in my personal life that are just up in the air. Obviously it was like our anniversary, and then all of a sudden we've now basically committed to moving out, so there's going to be all of that coming with it. I just feel like my brain space has not been freed up to be knitting on more complicated knits, which I probably think is another reason why this is so much fun, because it's just like really repetitive. But yeah, we will finish these off. I'm telling myself. And thank you, yeah, so much, like I said, if you made it all to the end. There are making vlogs coming for quite a lot of these. I'm a little bit ahead in my filming schedule, so I think the next like 3 vlogs are already pre-filmed, so it will be backtracking and you will be seeing a lot more of the making and decision making behind a lot of these pieces. Hopefully you want to stick around and watch more of my videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I have 2 jumpers currently. Well, I have my v-neck, my borderline jumper or borderline sweater is in test, and also my pinstripe cardigan, so keep an eye out for updates on those. And yeah, that is officially everything, so I will see you in the next one. Bye.